Hey everybody, this is Abby from Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Today is Thursday, August 27th. We're just gearing up for another heat wave, of course. It's been a beautiful 70-some degrees for a couple of days, so I've been trying to get a little bit of work done, but let's take a quick look at the raspberries. The fall berries are coming in hot. Bees are busy. The bumblebees are definitely the primary pollinators of these guys, which I've said for ages, but I'm a little surprised I haven't had any ripen yet because I feel like they're definitely, some are still even like just not even opening flowers. There's some that are pollinated like these, and then there's some that are getting close. Oh, I see one that's a little pinkish back there, right at the top there. So it usually ripens a couple, and then it keeps going from there. So you'll have to excuse any ooh, ee, ow noises I make today because baby has decided that now is the time for gymnastics. So if you're new here and unaware, I'm now basically 7 months pregnant with our second child, so the garden has fallen off its primary pedestal this year. Plus gardening with a toddler has been not harder, but it's just time management's a little different this year, that's all. As with everything, adapt and overcome and all that jazz. Got the blueberries trimmed down. We got a new weed whacker that it's like a helicopter on a stick, so I'm certainly adapting to that too. Also, I don't know if you can see it on video. Let's see if I can zoom in on it or if it's gonna even move, but there's a butterfly on, where'd it go? Well, it was on that thistle over there. I have a bunch of native thistle that I leave a lot of stuff in this tall grass, obviously, but I may get that mown again. Oh, there's a monarch too. Okay. So I'm at the point in the garden now. We're about 6 weeks away from our first frost. Estimated first frost date, excuse me. And we've had an extremely wet and extremely humid season. So most of the cucurbits are very dead. And the tomatoes also suffered severely from disease. Whoop, I just saw a mole or vole or something there. I took this trellis down right before the video last week, so probably last Wednesday or so. And I just haven't gotten around to picking it up. I really need to blitz this tall stuff down because it makes me itchy, as I'm sure it does for everyone. But I mean, the watermelons were intended to be and they never produced, and yada yada yada. So A is fallow, except for Ceres down the other end. I'll show you when we loop back around. B's been fallow, I think all season if I remember correctly, except for the supports for this pole bean trellis, which has survived very well, so I'll take it. Row C is the fall brassicas. We finally have a good stretch of weather where I can spray some good BT, which is a bacteria that targets caterpillars. So I'll be able to spray that and really get a good hit on them. But this is, I think this is Dagan Brussels sprout. The tag on this side is gone, but this is the 125-day variety, so they'll be harvesting, assuming it goes well, they'll be harvesting around Thanksgiving, I think. So my husband will have to do that. I'm due November 6th, so we'll see. They're looking pretty good though for having darn near no protection on them. So I think that's what, 5? No, that might be the last one, 6. Ducking under these. And then we have broccoli. No, this is the last Dagan. So what did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I had 8 Brussels sprouts. Okay, 8 Brussels sprouts. This is blue ribbon broccoli, which apparently is well adored by rabbits because that's just gone. This is a 55-day variety that has done well in the past. I'm going to try a different couple of varieties this coming year, just because I'm out of seed and I'm ordering from somewhere other than Gurney's, because Blue Ribbon is exclusive to Gurney's. So they're all pretty well nipped. If you have tried and true methods to catch a rabbit, let me know in the comments, but otherwise I'm going to let my husband have the open season in, what is it, November, when we can hunt rabbits. So, let's see. I think where is it on screen? I think that's probably the first Brussels sprout. Yeah, because this is the first blue ribbon broccoli. It's hard to see them on screen because they're so sparse, because the greens are so nipped down. But then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Franklin Brussels sprouts, which are a 100-day variety. But they seem to have been struggling a little bit, maybe. There's a bunch of volunteer lemon basil in here too, which I've been leaving. I love lemon basil. I don't use it, I just like it as a plant. This was originally the intended second brassica row. Bunch of frickin' horse nettle I need to pull out. But the cucumbers volunteered themselves from plants from last year. And if you don't follow my Facebook page, you should. But I harvested 3 pounds of cucumbers from these plants, which are probably a weird hybrid between 2 different pickling cucumbers or a pickling cucumber slicer hybrid. So they're cucumbers, they're edible. That's about the long and the short of that. So like this looks like a slicer, but I don't think it'll get as long as Summer Dance does. There's another one over there. So it's a little bit weird. The rest in the ground here is a mix of grass that just comes up and purposeful cover crop. So that's groundhog radish, which will winter kill. But while I'm over here, that third of a row roughly is fallow. It was meant to be herbs and flowers, but it never took, so c'est la vie. But Dark Star zucchini is not doing well. I don't know what this is because it's supposed to be resistant to powdery mildew, but it's definitely got something and it ain't gonna produce. So, story of my year this year in the garden. Summer Carnival hollyhocks, looking fabulous. I'm really enjoying the hollyhocks. As I've said in the past video, I'm going to try to transplant these into spots I want them to be for next year. So there's a red one. This one hasn't opened yet. This is a mix of colors. That's another one that hasn't opened yet. And then there's this pink one that's been the very earliest. So that's probably, I'm 5'4", so that one's probably about just shy of 6 feet maybe. Ooh, a hummingbird. I heard it. I couldn't catch it on video for you, but I heard it fly by. I can always hear them by their wing beats or their little tiny spritzy chirping. The time has come for me to cull my pole beans. The really wet weather that we had maybe a week, 2 plus more ago really kept me from harvesting. So a lot of these beans are way too big and way too, I mean, they look pretty good and they taste good, but I don't want to preserve them like this. Get off me. So I'm going to pull them down, cut them at the root, leave the roots. I'll end up using, because all legumes, beans, peas, that kind of thing, they're all good nitrogen fixer. So if you put the material back in the soil, it'll help fix nitrogen. So I'll probably cut these down, let them dry up a smidge, and then I may put them on row A to try to get a little bit more organic matter in row A, because I think a lot of the cucurbit issues I've had this year are from how wet that row has been. And it's more just my garden, because in reality my garden has a slight slope like this, so all the water naturally runs down there, and the paths are clay, solid clay, or ground soil that I have, which is solid clay. So it retains a ton of moisture and doesn't drain necessarily well. But the rows have sand in them mixed in for a little bit better drainage. So it is what it is. I blitzed this section, which was a cover crop plus wild grass in here. That did a great job killing that off. So I'm gonna let this giant octopus of strawberries keep coming this way for as long as it wants. This is Flavor Fest June bearing strawberry. So a lot of these, I'm trying to remember, I think this is the original mother plant, which is 2 plants now. I guess they divide 2, plus crawl with pups. So I've stopped the pups from climbing that way. I need to nip that one. But they can keep going this way. There's, what, 4 more feet there? 3-4 more feet. So I'll try to figure out how to overwinter them properly and not kill them like I did last year, and hopefully have a good harvest next year. Bronze Beauty Calendula. I want to like calendula more, but I just don't. I don't care for it. It's whatever. It's not the prettiest plant, and these have taken ages to get here to this point. I mean, lettuce is well in bolting, so this would be very bitter to eat. I'm surprised the rabbits haven't eaten this. Like, of all the things, oh, look at this frisee type lettuce that came up. Took your sweet time. What is on me? I keep feeling things on me. Hot. Double Zahara dwarf zinnia. Don't think I'd grow this again. Also takes a really long time to flower, and I don't really like the mounding habit of it. It's not what I expected. I don't know, call me petty. Everbearing strawberries, much slower to move along than the June bearing one. I don't know if that's a formal thing or just a coincidence, but the rest of this is fallow. This was meant to be corn originally, and then it was meant to be buckwheat and herbs, and nothing took, so it's just fallow and needs to be blitzed down viciously. While I'm standing in the shade, I'm gonna go over this now too. Cherry tomatoes, Bartelli, I've basically abandoned. All the tomatoes, as I started at the beginning, all the tomatoes have suffered so severely from all the humidity. If I remember correctly, late blight is caused by humidity issues, but early blight is caused by contact with the soil. So either way, these tomatoes have been set up to fail for a long time. With that said, Bartelli I did not harvest very much. Bartelli is only for snacking, really. I keep having things touch me. Snacking mostly. My son now doesn't like cherry tomatoes because what else is new? Defiant, I didn't need. I only did 2 plants this year, so when I was getting decent harvest, I was just throwing them in with the sauce. And then the 2, let's see, where's the stake? Right there. So this section was a number of plants of Supremo that was started traditionally in pots, like a week or two later than the other section, which was then the same number of plants roughly, but it was started seed snail method. And I don't know if this is coincidental or something to do with me mulching early in the season, and I only got up to I only managed to cover that side and not the traditional ones with mulch, grass clipping mulch. But the seed snail ones seem to be a little bit more resistant to disease than the traditional ones. And even then, well, that was mostly the issue, because these ones, you can see a bunch of red ones on, but they're so horribly disease ridden that when I bring them in, I mean, I wouldn't put that in sauce. That's obviously too old, but like even a nice, small, pretty, healthy looking one is still covered in all these. And I think this is anthracnose as well as blight, which strips all the... Blight isn't that bad, all things considered. It destroys all the foliage. I think it's a fungal thing, if I remember correctly. But usually the fruit isn't in too bad of shape, which is what the seed snail ones were like. But this one, I don't know why these three plants are three, still have foliage. They're all the same. I don't know. They still have anthracnose too, so I'm not harvesting them. But I've gotten over 60 pounds of fruit from these plants. Maybe closer to 80 now, because I just did another harvest, but I didn't tally it total. And then the traditional only gave me, I think, 40 before I cut it before I stopped harvesting, because of how disease ridden they were. It wasn't worth it. So I've certainly got something to digest there. I don't really know what to make of it, but next year is going to be blight resistant fruits. I've got 3 varieties lined up for paste and 1 variety for slicer. I just heard something in the woods. And I have a new cherry tomato. This is Martina's Roma, which is also a determinate paste, but the fruits are much smaller and they're suffering from everything too. So I didn't really like this one. It takes so many more tomatoes, individual fruits. That's a chicken. Oh, there's a tomato hornworm too. Can you see it? God, I hate those things. They're so muscular for what they are. They take so many more fruits to equal the same weight as Supremo, so not a fan. And then we have second Brassica row, which have been doing really good. They, all things considered, they have been liking the 70-some degree temperatures, which jives, obviously. This is Burgundy sprouting broccoli, the first one that survived. Second one that survived. This one is out of the ground, but still surviving from all the rain fighting that we had from all those absolutely torrential rains that we've had. Third one, this one died off. This one is naked. This is the last one of the Burgundy sprouting broccoli. So we'll see if I get anything out of these guys. Again, I'll do some BT tonight on these to keep the caterpillars off. Surprisingly, they look pretty good. I think they do well when they're closer planted to like really fragrant things like celery. Like they always say basil is a good companion to tomatoes, but I think nasturtiums are better because they're a lot more fragrant than basil is in a more like pest pushy way. These, I think these are cabbages. One of the 2 varieties of cabbages. There's that one. This one looks phenomenal. 3, 4. This one apparently died off. 5, 6. Varroa, maybe. That's that variety. So I'm missing a tag somewhere. I think I did Varroa and Tender Sweet. So Tender Sweet, that must be Tender Sweet that we just saw. And then these are Varroa cabbage. They're pretty small. They're nipped pretty small. That looks like a recent tag, like a this year tag. Nope, here it is. Here's Tender Sweet. So no, the other one was Varroa, and this is Tender Sweet. And then the rest is cauliflower. God, it's hot in the sun. Cauliflower. I think this is early snow. 1, 2. This one died. 3. Is this your tag? No, that's an old one. I don't know where your tag is. Oh, here it is. 4 or 5? Question mark? These don't look too bad. These almost look more like flea beetle damage, which makes no sense, but here we are. And then the rest are supposed to be, although this still looks like a Brussels sprout to me, based on the shape of the leaves, but we'll see what happens. The rest of these are Fujiyama cauliflowers. Both varieties are 43 or 45 days. The okra is going to come down. I'm going to get my Sawzall and cut these down. Excuse me. They're very large plants. I don't get out here often enough to get a decent harvest. Did I say they take up a lot of room? Because they do. And they get away from you so fast. Like this pod is probably only 4 days old, and that's not edible. Like it's so woody. Where these ones are maybe a day away from harvesting. You could harvest today or tomorrow, but like it's so rare that I have enough time to harvest everything and do the other little bits of work. Like this is the size probably maximum I like, but they have such big thick stalks that I need to use a Sawzall to cut them down. They're not herbaceous in any way. They produced well, I just didn't do enough plants to make it worthwhile. Because we like to grill okra. I will harvest all the small pods that are worth eating and keep them to make gumbo over winter. We do a chicken and sausage gumbo. Eggplant on a stick? Nope, I keep saying that. Pumpkin on a stick, eggplant. Looking really good. There's so many flowers on these plants still. I don't know. There's a Colorado beetle on top of that stem in there. I don't know if you can see it on camera. God, talk about the pests. Something I'm not going to grow again, that's for sure, is eggplants of any kind. I don't eat eggplants. And they're too fussy. They're too needy for what I want in plants. Peppers. I have shade cloth on these because it helps prevent sun scald on the fruit when it's really, really hot out. With the sun out, that's what causes sun scald. But these are allegedly sweet bananas. I don't know, but I'll pick whatever's there and pickle them. Do a second round of pickled peppers. And then 1, 2, and then this is the first plant of Giant Red 2 bell peppers, which have done pretty well. The fruit is a little bit smaller than I wanted, but I mean, they're pretty reliable. I've gotten a pretty good harvest off them. I don't think I've gotten any off this plant though. I don't like the tomato cages for the peppers. I just ran out of extra fences. There's a pretty good one. It's kind of wedged in there, so I'm not going to try to pry it out for you to see it, but some of them produce pretty big and some of them are kind of small. This is probably the biggest one I've seen off the Giant Red. This variety's from Gurney's as well as the Mega Gold Whopper, which you'll see in a minute. I'm going to try to save seed from that one plant I have of Mega Gold Whopper. And I'm going to try to overwinter that plant. Look at this one loaded with 3 fruits. Overachiever. That's a nice size fruit too. But like with a lot of plants, when you get really, really hot weather, sometimes they will either drop fruits or drop blossoms, and they won't produce in the extreme heat. So hopefully these plants will keep whatever they have. This is the Mega Gold Whopper. So this, I think, only has one fruit on it that I've seen so far. It's definitely the largest statured of the pepper plants, maybe next to that giant red too, but there is a big fruit on here that I have my eyes on that I really hope matures. You can't see it very well on this side. You feel floppy. Don't tell me you're too dry. Ugh, like wilty. It feels wilty. Yeah, I think that's the only fruit on this plant. So they're definitely not high producers, and they produce late. So that's a thing. But here is one of two early Sensation, which I got my first harvest of a couple days ago. This has two big fruits on it. This one's starting to change and the other one is getting there. And there's one big fruit here. There's another one getting bigger. Not a bad year for peppers. Next year I'm going to do a full row of peppers. This is probably 30 feet, maybe a half row of peppers. So I'm going to do more next year. Tanko stock celery has done phenomenally this year. I just need to get my butt around to actually harvesting it. This one's on its way out. I did lose one on the end here somewhere. It was very close, but these stalks look good. Look how nice and thick these are. I'm happy with these this year. I finally remembered now at this time of year that a lot of celeries are blanched. Like the soil is piled up around them to get the stalks bigger and longer and whiter, more tender, whatever. But I didn't remember that was the thing. The dahlias are still connected to the ground, but they need to come out. Didn't like that variety. And then my rhubarb is suffering. I talked to my, I'm going to say mentor, who I got the crown from, and it's probably just really pissed off with how wet it was, which I was too, so I don't blame it. So I'm going to dig it out and put it, after I clear the row, whatever row the strawberries are in, the one right after the hollyhocks on this side. I'm going to put it at the end over here, and then that's going to be an herb section of the garden next year. So hopefully that'll bring it back. I still see some little leaves on it, but hopefully I can save it. God, it's been a crappy garden year. What is the name of this plant? This plant is... It's not roulette. Roulette is solid red. No, maybe it is roulette, and then the solid red one is amulet. I'm trying to remember, because I ended up with both, with an accidental seed included. Little Ladybirds Cosmos, I think, are probably on their very last blooms. There's very few buds left. The majority of what you see on the plant besides the blooms is green seed pods as they come out, but I see a bunch of European honeybees on these, huh? They like those. They're not the same color that I remembered them being. I remembered there's some being very red and more ombre, but it's been a lovely season for them no matter what. Giant orange and yellow marigolds, I think, are probably will keep going as long as I let them. So I may end up, I need to clear half this row for garlic to go in October, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do this half of the garden, this half of the row, or that half of the row, and I'm inclined to say this half because I really like the zinnias and the scabiosa and the cosmos. I do need to harvest the seed pods for this nigella though. I need to harvest the white seed pods, which I've marked. Most of these are the blue ones, but I've marked, like this one's. Can you hear the rattle of the seeds? I love it. I'm gonna harvest these pods specifically. They were all white. This one still needs to dry, but they were all white nigella, so I'm gonna keep those for the garden next year. Borage has been out maybe 2 weeks, except that one little scraggle. I think this was, I don't remember what this was. Probably stalk. And then the early dwarf Sensation Cosmos, because they're not 5 feet tall, are finally kind of blooming regularly now. The sulfur one in here is basically done. That kind of like rocketed, flowering, big bushy, and then done. These ones are much more like the pink and white versions are much more slow in their process, so whatever works. Lots of buds on them too, so we'll see. Some of that thistle. This was probably where the dianthus was, the carnations that never did literally anything. So we'll see if they do anything next season, assuming they're still here. I was thinking of blitzing this down after I'm done with probably after the first frost, because the zinnias will get killed off with the first frost. But after that, I was thinking of blitzing it low. So maybe if I do, because this is the dianthus. So I don't know if it's now getting ready to flower or what. Duchess Mixed China Aster has long been dead. I've long stopped caring. Not a variety I think I'll grow again. What the hell is that on there? Look at that giant weird caterpillar on there. Wormy things are not my cup of tea. This is the Scabiosa, I think. This looks like a new one I haven't seen up here. We'll see what color that is. I've been loving the Scabiosa. Definitely growing a bunch of these next year. These are the seed pods for them. I love them. I think they're so fun. I've got plenty more of that, so that'll be really fun. There's a dark purple, like a cotton candy pink. There's the pink one, actually. There's the pink in there. There's this soft creamy yellow and the dark purple that I really liked, but I know there are more colors in there than what I got, because when I grow like a color variety of things, you just kind of get a handful of them just by percentage sake. The straw flower is still doing whatever it thinks it's doing. I really don't like straw flower. I'm not going to grow it again. I don't care. I don't like it. It does that, and it doesn't tickle my fancy. And then I'm going to go around the other way, and then we'll be done. I love this chamomile. Chamomile's one of my favorite. They're so fun and whimsical. And then here is both California Giants zinnias, which I've gotten a lot of cut flowers out of them. I don't love them. Hello, Monarch. You gonna land? Just thinking about it. Nope, it left. I like the really double ones like that, but the California Giants that I got are mostly pinks. Like, I've got one red one here, and whatever these crazy bugs are. I've gotten one yellow one, one red one, and then the others are shades of pinks, which pink is not my cup of tea. It is what it is. And then there's 4 plants of candy stripe zinnia, which there's that one, which is very ratchet and looks like it might produce another couple blooms. A bud here. Working on a bud there. And then there's 2 different yellow with red speckles, and then there's one that is cream with red, but this has barely produced flowers this year. This is one of them. And this is one too. So they're probably too densely planted. It's most likely pissed off about that, but too bad. It's my garden, darn it. Let me go swing you guys by Sari's butternut squash. I should have done it while I was down there for something else. The The blue better salvia has done really well, but it's a lot later than I wanted for a flower like that. I'm going to try Aztec zinnia and trying to think of the other plant I wanted to do with peppers next year, because I end up working on my garden plan throughout the entire year. Like as soon as things start like growing, really, I start making adjustments of what I like, what I don't like, problems that I've had, that kind of thing. Oh, this is Sonia sunflower. I don't know why that was so hard. Something liked the dill. That's like full on gone. Do rabbits like dill? That's really gone. Weird. Ow. Sharp. The mouse melon's still here, by the way. The cucamelon mouse melon. Never produced anything as far as I can tell, so I'm not going to bother putting space in there for that thing again. But here's Sari's butternut squash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I know that one's been nibbled on. 7, which may or may not make it. I think 7. Nope, 8. There's another one here. 9? Question mark? No, 8. Something like that. So this plant is basically kaput for the season. Oh, it wants to produce more though. There's another one there. So one plant is pretty good for butter and squash. I think they're self-fertile. Sarah's sure is. She did not care about anything this year, which is a good plant for my garden. So I haven't really decided if I'm going to do, what gourds I'm going to try to do next year. I did have the original intention to try to do loofah and birdhouse gourd, but neither of those germinated for me last year. So I'll have to see how it goes next spring, basically in the spring when I start seeding things, because I would love to grow loofah. Could use it for my soaps and stuff. Excuse me. So anyway, that's about it. 6 more weeks basically is cleanup. I'm going to be tearing those tomatoes out too. I can't remember if I mentioned, but they're going to come out because I basically have harvested everything that's viable, plus the disease load. Plus, if I can get started on cleanup, I will. God knows I've got plenty, and God knows I move slow enough now with this pregnancy. So, all right, that's all for now. If you like this kind of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. And if you want to see more of my daily shenanigans, follow along my Facebook page, Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Okay, thanks. Bye.